We are live.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Moonshiners Racing presented by Depot Street Sports. I'm your host. I'm back. It's Michael Rizzo. I'm joined with Zachary Kendall, Aiden Forney, and Bunny. We're here to discuss all things that happen at Kansas. But, guys, first, before we get into Kansas, how you guys doing?
Doing pretty good. It is crunch time here at Ball State. I wrote 4 pages of an 8-page essay that is due next Friday, so we're already off to a great start with that. Final exams, final assignments, all of that, all the great stuff that comes with college. Just been dealing with stuff like that.
Yeah, you said it. There's a lot coming up. The NFL draft is tomorrow. We will be doing that as well. At least I will be in there as well with all these guys, maybe. And then another race, Talladega, on Sunday. So that's obviously good to look forward to. And obviously, I am also graduating in about a week and a half. So there's a lot coming up, and I'm doing all right.
I'm doing great. We got NASCAR tonight, and tomorrow you will have everyone from Moonshiners Racing. You will have everyone from excessive BS shows that we have had. A few friends. Rizzo's going to be at a watch party. We're going to have roughly 10 to 12 people on the NFL draft show tomorrow night. Me and Raymond will be hosting that, so it looks like it'll be a lot of fun. Got John Carter going to join us, which is a really good friend of mine and Raymond's, very knowledgeable about sports. Anxious to see how this goes. So everybody, please tune in tomorrow night at 8 o'clock for the NFL draft coverage.
Now, I can't wait for that show tomorrow. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Yeah, you mentioned it. I'll be at a draft party, but everything's working out that I'll still be able to be on the show. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait for the draft. One of my favorite days of the year. Yep, the NFL draft is one of my favorite days of the year. I just love it. I geek out over it. But anyway, the reason why you're here, that's NASCAR. Let's get into the NASCAR news. Tyler Reddick gets his 5th win of the season. He's he's only the second driver to ever win 5 of the first 9 races. The only other driver to do that was the great Dale Earnhardt back in 1987. Guys, what a race. I guess you could say it was like a throwback feel in a way to it was all about tires, track position. It was just that kind of old school, like early 2010s kind of feel to it, at least for me. And get that late race caution. Pandemonium came out, and Tyler Reddick gets the win. Guys, thoughts on Tyler Reddick's drive and him getting 5 wins already this season?
I enjoyed the race personally. Kansas is one of my more favorite tracks, so I liked it. I enjoyed that there wasn't a buttload of cautions. Really showed that you don't need a bunch of wrecks or cautions to create a good race. There was only 3 on the day in total, and 2 of them were for stages. The third we're going to get into later, but I enjoyed the race. I still enjoyed the finish. The finish was good. I enjoyed the strategy side. I enjoyed the whole tires, track positions argument. I really liked it, and of course Reddick still continues to be on his tear, though not quite as dominant this time around. Still a good win for him in 23-11.
Yeah, obviously, Aiden picked Hamlin for his pick not last week, but like 2 weeks ago or something like that. No, it was 2 weeks ago, and then we had another show after that. But anyway, he picked Hamlin for this race, and for good reason. I mean, Hamlin was the dominant car, it seemed like, for much of that day, and Reddick was always in the mix there, and then he ended up getting the lead, and then lo and behold, like the lap before, obviously Cody Ware spun out. Reddick radioed to his crew that he was like out of fuel almost, and he hit the wall. That was kind of shocking to see because, again, you don't normally see these top teams. I know they're trying to go very fast on pit road, so maybe they were trying to cut it short on fuel or whatnot. But it was kind of crazy to see that. And then obviously a lap later, none of it really mattered because Cody Ware spun out in front of the leaders and got a restart. And, Tyler Reddick, not didn't get the best jump. Larson took it 3 wide, ended up running on the bottom. Hamlin got put in the sucker hole. And then Reddick slips up the track. He gets into Bell, and Bell kind of spins out, and there's no caution. So unfortunate there for Bell, but obviously Reddick had a very strong car at the end of that race. The last 40 laps, I feel like he had if not the best car, the second best car. But you showed it right there with the Hendrick car with Larson, is that he just couldn't drive it in the corner like Reddick could, even on 2 tires. They had the same amount of tires, fresh tires on each car, 2 tires and 2 tires. So it was kind of crazy to see Reddick be able to drive in there with that much grip, even though he was on 50 lap old tires. At least half of his car, the left sides were 50 plus lap old tires. But hey, Reddick is very clutch. This team has been very clutch this year. Obviously, he hasn't really been as dominant again as you might see a guy that you hear a driver win 5 of the first 9 races in a stretch, and you think that, oh, he's just had a dominant car. That really hasn't been the case. He's been very good. There's no denying that. And obviously, again, he's had some very clutch victories this year, but obviously, the circumstances have still had to play out his way in some of these races that he's won. And, they're taking advantage of it. And I feel like the 45 group has definitely found something that has a competition edge, at least Toyota in general has over the competition right now. So it's very exciting, obviously, because that's going to bring the best out of your other competitors. But, for Reddick, again, another win to boost his lead that was dwindling, and now obviously he stabilizes that.
Yeah, to add to what you just said there, Zachary, Reddick's only led 199 laps this season. So you look at 5 wins, it's not been overly dominant, but he's keeping himself in a position to, take advantage and get these wins. And he's got 7 top 10s on the year out of 9 races, 6 top 5s out of 9 races, 3 poles in 9 races. I mean, he is dominating across the board. Ryan Newman used to be the Rocket Man, but it's really kind of unheard of to really even see somebody have 3 poles this early in the season together. And his average finish this year's 5th with 5 wins. He's had maybe 1 race that was kind of a blow up there, but he is dominating in all fashions of the sport. Yeah, it's not laps led. Denny's probably leading that category, but he's staying there. He's in position to win. He's closing these races out. And, could he be the new closer? Could he kind of be filling that gap as a Harvick and being the closer?
You guys bring up a good point in the comparison between Denny Hamlin and Tyler Reddick. I feel like they're kind of opposites. They're both very good, but one, they know how to finish. The other cannot finish a race. Reddick, they both have issues during the race too. They both have. The only race I could think of that one of them had that went unscathed was Denny Hamlin at Las Vegas. He didn't have really any issues at Las Vegas. He pretty much dominated that race. Sure, Chase Elliott was catching him late, but he was still leading. Tyler Reddick, though, every single race he overcame some sort of adversity. Really, Daytona, he was a part of that first accident. He was way behind the whole race. You never heard of him until the last lap. Atlanta, he was up front most of the time, then got involved in an accident. You kind of counted him out, and then he was there at the end. Coda, you got SVG. Sure, he got the pole, and he led the whole last half of the race there. But before that, it really wasn't all much of him. And Darlington, he had the battery issues. Going through up and down the field, he had long pit stops, and he still found a way to win. And then here, he had the pole. Denny Hamlin worked on his car. They were the quickest. And when the time was right, he pounced on it. He gets the win. Denny Hamlin, on the other hand, he leads the majority of these races, like you guys have been saying, but he has found ways to lose rather than Reddick finding ways to win. And, at some point, it's going to flip-flop. But at the same time, you got to think, at some point, Tyler Reddick is not going to have issues, and he's just going to dominate. He's already dominating, but we have yet to see him legitimately just dominate a race, kind of like a Denny Hamlin or William Byron the last couple of years, or Kyle Larson. We haven't really seen him do that yet. And once he starts doing that, I mean, the field already has to watch out. But at that point, it's going to be pretty tough for them to catch up. But yeah, Zachary, you kind of mentioned the last lap there, but I'd like to go to that last kind of spin and the whole last restart, guys. What did you think about that whole spin? Cody Ware was on 60 lap tires when the tire, window is kind of 45, 50 laps or so. Thoughts on all that, bringing out the caution, and then the whole lane situation. Denny Hamlin was upset about him picking the bottom, open the door for Kyle Larson being really tight, and Tyler Reddick going on to win the race. Any thoughts there, guys?
I'm tired of this fucking talentless bum racing in this damn series. Cody Ware's one of the worst NASCAR drivers I ever laid eyes on. It's honestly a miracle that he's in here, like racing here. And I genuinely hope he hears this somehow, some way. You are terrible. You are awful. You're here because daddy pays the race car for you. You run around racing in 40th every week and you do nothing but cause this. Like, you're awful. You are one of the worst drivers I've ever seen in my lifetime, ever. And I feel like all four guys here would say the same thing. He is, I can't express how terrible he is. Like, how are you running 40th every week? Like, I get it. The car probably sucks, but it doesn't help when you also suck. Justin Haley took your ride for a little bit when you were arrested for beating your girlfriend or whatever. By the way, why is he still in the sport after that? Oh, but AJ Allmendinger took, I don't know, PEDs or whatever it was and got suspended an entire season and almost blacklisted. But Cody Ware just gets to race more. That's cool. That's perfectly fine. This bozo has never done anything in his career, and he shouldn't be here. I'm not going to talk about the other thing because this is all I wanted to do a spiel about.
All right. That's why we love Aiden on this show. Okay. So I think the best way to encapsulate this is, well, to quote Mike Joy. Oh, it's Cody Ware. I mean, every single week, again, this guy's always in the back. He's like the not new age, but he's like the Quinn Houff we have now without the dumbass wrecks of people, like actual lead lap cars. He's so slow usually most weeks. And keep in mind, he also said that this team was close to winning. No, they're not. So he was on 60-plus lap old tires, and the competition director for Rick Ware Racing came out and kind of defended Cody Ware by saying it was his fault for keeping the guys out there, because everyone knows, and Heyman pointed it out too, he wasn't blaming Cody Ware for it. It's just that he was put in a bad situation where tires were wearing after 40 laps, let alone 60 laps. So it also made no sense, the reason why they were doing that. I mean, let's be honest here. They were multiple laps down. The only way they were gaining spots is if someone crashed out of the race, which I don't think no one did. So they were still running dead last when this spin came out. And it was like, at that point, he was like less than a quarter mile away from taking the white to end the race if their caution comes out after that. So, again, I'm always all for lap cars doing what they're supposed to do, which is take care of their equipment, don't look stupid, and don't obviously get in the leader's way. And Cody Ware has these issues where, he does look foolish at times because he self-spins maybe at the end of these races and causes, obviously, restarts to happen. And, that finish was setting up to be very epic, because Hamlin, again, lost the lead, and then he got the lead back, and Reddick was still right there. So it'd been nice to see if Reddick had been able to get up under Hamlin on that last lap, but we never did get to see that because, again, the spin came out and a restart. And, Hamlin can gripe a little bit, obviously, about his lane choice, but at the end of the day, I mean, you're the leader, and you are the guy that has the choice of obviously what everyone wants, which is you're in the lead and you get to choose either inside or outside. And obviously Reddick is going to choose the opposite of what you do because he wants the front row too. So And it's Kyle Larson behind you, man. He hasn't won in over a year. He's going to take it 3 wide. So, I mean, at the end of the day, Hamlin still came home fourth. Obviously, it's not the win that he or his team or his fans wanted to see happen. But, at the end of the day, you got to play your cards. And unfortunately, Cody Ware decided to spin out there, less than a quarter mile from taking the white.
Okay, Aiden, I'm going to add something for you here. If you had 3 drivers to put in the 51 car, you keep Cody Ware, Chris Wright, or Cletus McFarland, who are you putting in the 51?
Genuinely Cletus, because as much gripe as we've given him, he hasn't done anything insanely stupid yet.
Natalie Decker was going to be my 4th.
Yeah, I would have said fire all 3 of them into the sun. But you said Cletus, so we're going with Cletus.
Okay.
I mean, at that point, just disband the car.
Disband the car, yeah.
So, I guess
Put
I'm
it in
going
Lake
to leave
Lloyd.
it.
Put the car in Lake Lloyd. Bury it to wherever Richard Childress buried Dale Earnhardt's car, or launch it into space if Richard Childress launched the fucking car into space. I don't know what he did with the car, but
I'm going to add to Aiden's point because he's done this dumb stuff. We've actually backed off of hearing all the Cody Ware stuff for a year, maybe a little bit longer. He had kind of cleaned it up there for a little bit. And we thought that team may be able to take another step forward. We know that it wasn't going to be great. We knew that it wasn't going to be an astronomical step in the right direction, but it had looked cleaner from Rick Ware Racing. At this point, should they turn around and, step out, step back, do something else, maybe go back down to the truck series? Because you're taking a spot from a team. I know we keep saying junior, somebody like that, another team expanding from a competitive car. Because each week, even though that we're sitting here looking at, say, a team like Trackhouse, they look horrible this season. We know when they hit the road courses, they're going to be competitive. That team will be competitive. Spire has picked it up. And Rick Ware's that team right now that is just below everybody else. And even Legacy. You've got Legacy sitting there in the back half. Richard Childress. We know any given week they have the capabilities to be competitive. I think that at a certain point, over a certain span of time, that you have to look at it from a NASCAR point of view and go, okay, you are putting a car on the track that is no longer competitive week to week or even every 4th race competitive. We have people that is wanting this spot. Where do you kind of take that into consideration of we need to evaluate this charter here because it's no longer competitive nor putting the best program on TV or in the sport?
There used to be that rule in place that if a chartered car finished last place in points 3 years in a row, that the NASCAR had the ability to take the charter. But I think that changed, and especially I think it changed with the new charter agreement that went in effect this year. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it's gone. And I think there was, I want to say 5 years in a row it finished last place in points, and NASCAR didn't do anything, even when that rule was in place. It was just NASCAR had its own discretion at that point. And I think you guys brought up good points on how, that car has always been a back marker. It always is going to be a back marker. The only time it wasn't was when Justin Haley was in the car, and Justin Haley tried to go find some better ride, and that better ride, I guess, just didn't work out for him, and now he's in the truck series. With Cody Ware and Rick Ware Racing, Daddy pays the bills. Cody Ware is always going to be there. They sold the team, and they claim they want to buy more charters. We don't want them to. We don't want to see it. I don't think anyone does. They're just a waste of space. Now, the reason why there's 36 charters instead of 40, and we have like a 43 car field like we had in the past, is because they're saving 4 charters supposedly for Dodge. That's been the whole goal since 2014 when the whole charters came in and about, was that they're saving 4 for the next manufacturer. Well, we'll see if that'll ever happen because Dodge hasn't made plans on if they're moving up to the Cup Series next year or when. They haven't given anybody a date on that. I mean, if they did, I mean, that's 4 new charters. What do you do there? Who's going to get them? Who's going to be the new team? But it's just going to be interesting to see what goes on here. I mean, it's Cody Ware, Rick Ware Racing. They're this, I guess you could say this era's, like Zachary said, Quinn Houff, Kevin LePage, if you will, just there just to be a nuisance and a moving chicane. But moving on, let's go to the O'Reilly series. Taylor Gray gets the race win, an unexpected win, kind of. But his teammate was leading the majority of the race, got 2 stage wins, but Taylor Gray gets the win. Guys, thoughts on this race and thoughts on Taylor Gray getting the win?
A little shocking. It's one of those unexpected but expected wins. It's like when the guy that's 15th in points wins a race. You know, like it's not that much of a shocker, but it's still like, okay, didn't have that on my bingo card. But you know, like, good for Taylor Gray. I don't remember where he's at in points, but I know he wasn't very high, so it was a good day for him. Obviously, getting the win. Yeah, I just remember being shocked. I think we all thought if a Joe Gibbs car was going to win, it'd actually be Brandon Jones. That I feel like that's what everyone kind of had a consensus to. If someone was going to win, it'd be Brandon Jones. Brandon Jones is now 5th in points right now. Taylor Gray is now up to 9th in points. I don't remember where he was before that. I want to say he was actually like possibly he might have been just 9th, but yeah, it was just one of those shocking wins. This is Gray's 2nd career win. He got one late last year. Couldn't really build a championship run after that. However, it didn't really help him out. But this time around, it does, and you know we can see him win more. I'm not going to rule that out of a possibility. We know that 54 team is really good. We know that they can win. We saw what Ty Gibbs was able to do in that ride a few years ago. So, I mean, they can definitely rattle off some wins here if Joe Gibbs is able to build up the momentum, which what they just did is a great starting point.
Yeah, the only driver in NASCAR currently that isn't on cloud 9 other than Tyler Reddick is probably Ty Gibbs. He has like 7 straight top 10 finishes, including a win, his first career win at Bristol a couple weeks ago. And now here in the O'Reilly series, he sees his car go to victory lane again, kind of unexpected a little bit. I don't want to diss Taylor Gray too much. I don't really think about him all that often, really. He's a guy that really runs in the back end of the top 10, okay? I think he's a little right now, I feel like I define him as a little better than serviceable. So that's a guy that you know can get results for you. Is he going to get the high-end results like multiple wins? We'll see. But he also took advantage of Brandon Jones making that mistake on pit road, speeding and whatnot. And, you know, again, going into it, I thought Brandon Jones was going to be a guy that was going to be a threat to win here because he always is. It's always here at Kansas and always at Darlington. Those are the 2 tracks that I look at him for being really, really good at and can be a force to win at. And that's usually, like, I think that's all his career wins are at both those tracks. So he was looking like that was going to be the case. And then obviously he got that speeding penalty and Taylor Gray took advantage of it. He was in the hunt basically all day long, obviously top 5 there. And again, I'm not trying to discredit him. I'm just saying that he's not the guy I thought was going to win this past weekend, but you know, he ended up being the winner and, you know, good for him. Again, the winning in is no longer in factor, obviously, so he's not locked into the playoffs, the chase, whatever you want to call it. But it gives extra bonus points for winning a race, and he was lower in points, so he definitely could jump. I think he definitely jumped a couple spots up in the points because of this win, and it could be a huge momentum builder going forward. Who knows? Because you could be worse. You could be Austin Hill, that's back in like 13th in points, and wrecking and calling out his teammate, which we'll get to.
Yeah, we'll get to that one. I want you guys to remember, we had the hot take episode and predictions episode, and we all had Taylor Gray winning a couple races. I mean, I had him winning 3 and having a breakout year. So obviously the breakout year hasn't occurred, at least not yet. But hey, this could be the start of a breakout. And like I said, we all predicted him to win. So just throwing that out there. But yeah, I thought it was a solid race. What is with the Xfinity? O'Reilly Series drivers, you win 2 stages, and then someone else wins the. It's happened ever since Las Vegas. I mean, I feel like we're the only. I mean, I don't hear anyone else talking about it, but it's got to be a weird coincidence that it's happened every single race since Las Vegas. It's just been really weird. Anyway, overall solid race, but it started off with a bang or a roll or a flip, if what you want to call it. Carson Kvapil flips first opening lap, a spin with the 07 car. They showed that, and all of a sudden they cut, and there is Carson Kvapil flipping down the backstretch. It was definitely a shocking moment. I was working, so I wasn't able to really catch the race much, but I saw this. This is the first thing I saw, and I was just dumbfounded on how that happened. But crazy, weird incident there, guys. What thoughts on that one?
Yeah, so I actually didn't see the wreck live because I was working out with my buddy Trevor, and we were right at towards the end of the workout. I knew the race was about to come on. We were literally about to head out the door. Then I saw Zachary text like, Carson's upside down or something. He said something else like that. And I was like, what? Like already? And I went to Twitter immediately, and sure enough, the first video I see on my feed is the one car somehow upside down and rolling at Kansas, which I just want to talk about too. Kansas was reconfigured in 2012. Is that correct? Or 2013, one of the two. Since then, Kansas has had some pretty gnarly wrecks. It kind of makes sense because the reconfiguration, they put in a steeper banking, make the speeds a little bit a lot higher too, so you can hold the throttle down a lot longer. And with more speed, you're kind of bound to get more big accidents. Just a few off the top of my head. William Byron, his rookie year, had Ryan Newman drive under him. Eric Almirola broke his back here. Ryan Preece about flipped here, went on his side. Eric Jones also went on his side here in 2017 as well. Like, yeah, Kansas can be tough. Kansas has brought on some really gnarly crashes the last few years. Not really surprised by it. In fact, I kind of, after I saw the flip, and was like, well, if we were going to get a flip at 1.5 miles, it would be Kansas. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Zane Smith literally rode the wall here. I forgot about that too.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up if you didn't. Yeah, you are right. Kansas is becoming one of those sneaky tracks where you don't think of flips or blowovers or whatnot, but it's happened quite a few times. And, that's a testament to obviously the high speeds that they go around this track at. And there with Kvapil and Byron, William Byron was in the field for this one. He just comes off the corner and they kind of just collide together in the same racing surface, the racing area. When I was first watching, obviously I saw the 07 because obviously the camera was just pointed at that, and it was like, oh, it's just a simple spin, whatnot. And they cut back, and it's just the jump scare of all jump scares, where he's up in the air and he ends up flipping. And obviously it sucks for Kvapil because he's had a great start to the year. He hasn't won yet, but I feel like that win is coming sooner rather than later with that one group because that one group is very strong. But pretty a big accident. Thankfully, he's all right. But yeah, like, I know people say that Byron did it on purpose. I mean, I don't think Byron obviously did that on purpose. He has no reason to do that. It's just like, again, it's like a weird angle that came off the corner, and he just was like, how you drive Kansas is obviously if you're like lower into the corner, which is what Byron was, then qualifying, then obviously you're going to slide up. But unfortunately, obviously he caught him in the left rear, and obviously the wind suckered the back end of it up off the ground, and that's what got him to flip. And again, it's a good testament to the O'Reilly series and these cars obviously being safer than they were obviously previously, like 25 years ago and whatnot. And obviously, again, Qualify's going to go back, this weekend at Talladega, and hopefully he doesn't suffer another blowover crash, and hopefully don't see any blowover crashes this weekend. So obviously they're not fun to watch in the moment. When the time passes, then they become fun to watch because you know that no one got hurt in that, and that's why Fox always replays like those gnarly crashes. Like I remember every single time they go to Talladega, they always got to play the Carl Edwards flip into the catch fence. So thankfully Quaffle's all right, and we'll see him this weekend, and we'll hopefully again no more flips going forward.
Yeah, keep them on the ground. And every time I hear back to what you said there, that Carl Edwards flip into Talladega, you brought that up. I always just can hear Larry Mack saying, Brad Keselowski won this race. I could just hear that. But anyway, the last thing we got to talk about when it comes to O'Reilly series, and then you alluded to it earlier, teammates. Jesse Love and Austin Hill get into it. Austin Hill spins, wrecks, gets out of the race, gets involved in an accident there. And, of course, in Austin Hill fashion, he can race others like an asshole, but he cannot be raced like an asshole, or he'll cry like a little baby. And he cried to the reporters, claiming, I'm shocked at the way he raced me, this, that, and the other. And, Jesse Love is a very mature, smart driver. He didn't want to cause anything, so he took blame for it. But at the same time, he didn't do anything egregious. In my opinion, he didn't do anything egregious. He was in the middle lane. Sure, he was right there, right close on his door, took the air off his spoiler there, and he got loose and lost it off of turn 4. That is not Jesse Love. I mean, sure, I guess you say technically it's Jesse Love's fault, but you're getting past at that point. You are slower. I mean, come on. Austin Hill can race anybody and everybody he wants like an ass, but he cannot be driven like one whatsoever, or his feelings is hurt and he is crying, like I said, like a baby. Man, I hate that guy. I absolutely hate that guy. What is with the Austin drivers? I hate Austin Dillon. I hate Austin Hill. Different topic, but oh my God. If Aiden can hate, all the people he hates that he will mention on the podcast, I can hate these guys, and I hate Austin Hill. He's got such a punchable face, acts like an asshole like this, and will just wreck people and claim it's their fault. And this is one of those situations. Zachary, thoughts on this situation?
Yeah, I was the one that obviously alluded to it. First, Austin Hill can't go more than a month, and no matter where we're at in the racing season, whether it's early summer or obviously late in the fall, he can't go more than a month without beefing with somebody. And of course, this has to be his teammate. If I remember correctly, they also had an incident at like Daytona earlier this year where Love got really sideways because Hill did the same thing to Love there, where he got him in a bad aero spot. Same thing happened here. Maybe Love got him in a bad aero spot, but at the same time, again, like you said, Love was quicker than him, and he was just trying to get around him. And he can't drive the top of the racetrack because that's when they're going to be battling probably for a couple laps there. No, Love wants to go right away, and as he should, he wants to go to the front. So how you do that is you ride him on his door there, and he got him a little tight off the corner, and he got spun out, and Hill spun. But obviously, I don't think that's any called for him calling out Love for doing that. I mean, that's just hard racing, in my opinion, and maybe some lack of talent there to try and obviously not save the car. He just spun out. Again, I've never been a big fan of Austin Hill. Like when I saw him driving the Truck Series, didn't really do a whole lot. Sheldon Creed was out driving him every single week, and I feel like in that series, besides a couple of races there where he won, and then he goes to the O'Reilly Series, where a series that he can only win on super speedways, unless he and that one race at Las Vegas where he had a clear tire advantage over the guy that was in the lead at the time. It was a colleague racing car. I don't remember his name. Chandler Smith. Chandler Smith was on really old tires, and Hill was obviously just in the right place at the right time in second place, where he drove to him and got around him. That's the only non-super speedway win that this guy has in the O'Reilly Series. Every other one is just him just taking advantage of the lack of experience in the O'Reilly Series on super speedways, and that obviously makes up the bulk of his career earnings at this point. And the very select few Cup races he runs, usually on the super speedways, and what do you know? He's in the back. So, he's gonna end up. He's not gonna be, if he goes to Cup, he's gonna be at RCR, which is obviously a sinking ship at this point. Obviously, with a lot to do to turn that team around, and he ain't gonna be the one that's gonna be able to do it. And I don't think. So again, this guy's always beefing with somebody. He's become a bigger guy to love to hate watch for than a Denny Hamlin, I would say, or a Joey Logano. That's how hated this guy is in the NASCAR world. I don't know there's any Austin Hill fans out there. There's like 2, I think, and that's about it, because he keeps getting these instances, and obviously in his post-wreck interviews or post-race interviews, whenever he's getting interviewed, he's never taking the blame for it. He's always criticizing someone else.
Yeah, when has an Austin Hill opinion literally ever mattered? Listen. This dude's a one-trick pony. He's not good. He's a bum. I'm just going to say the same thing Zach already said, but louder. He's a bum. He's a one-trick pony. He gets into these beefs. He gets into these fights, and it's everyone else's fault except his. God forbid Austin Hill did something wrong. Oh, God, that I, for once, am in the wrong here. Oh, wow, I'm Austin Hill. I get outshined by my teammate. I'm Austin Hill. Everyone in the garage hates me. I'm Austin Hill. Everyone in the stands hate me. I'm Austin Hill. I don't know why. I'm Austin Hill. I'm 90% sure my own owner hates me. This bozo will never amount to anything. He'll never get to the Cup Series. He will never be successful in the Cup Series. He's hardly even successful in this series.
Real quick, I only have one comment. I'm jumping in here at the very end. Other than being a very personable person on track, is Austin Hill the new Michael Waltrip?
No, because people actually liked Michael Waltrip.
I said take the personable, likable status out of it.
Yeah, but it's really hard to do that.
I mean, even then, I know, no, he's not. Because, well, number one, he's not as tall as Michael Waltrip, whenever that matters. But I mean, yeah, like Aiden said, it's very hard to take the personality that he has away from him, because again, that's the whole reason why people hate him in the first place, outside of obviously some of the racing instances that he's been in. Again, when you're crying wolf 99% of the time, who am I kidding? 100% of the time, then you're not going to get a lot of support from anybody. And Michael Waltrip, yes, he won 4 times in the Cup Series, or 3 times in the Cup Series, or whatever. And obviously 2 of those were at Daytona. One of them was at Talladega. And, that's what people remember him for, but also remember him being obviously a goofball. People are just going to remember Austin Hill as being a hothead that just could not take actions for anything that he did on the track. And again, I don't think he's going to be racing the Cup Series anytime soon, if ever. So Michael Waltrip will always have that over him.
No, I wasn't going in to compare it as far as the person themselves, but as you all was talking and stuff, I got to really thinking about the on-track, stats and stuff like that. Waltrip was known more for the super speedways. Everything else he lacked at. He was a very good person, but statistically it was like, okay, Austin Hill, he's only really good at super speedways. he lacks in everything else. But this cat's got to get it together. And I don't know that that is a good image for Childress being down as much as they are right now. It's like I said last week, you're seeing everything unfold, and it does not look good for that race team on any level of Richard Childress. And that's where I'm saying they need somebody to step in and help clean up everything.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys said there. Not maybe not so much the Michael Waltrip one because he wasn't really aggressive, in my opinion. But he did do pretty good on the plate tracks. But something he'll never have that Michael Waltrip has is 2 Daytona 500 wins. But anyway, let's move on and talk about the news around the garage. First things first, let's take a look at the points after Kansas. We'll pull this up. So, of course, you still have Tyler Reddick in first with a now 110-point lead. It looks like 100 math point lead. Denny Hamlin in second, followed by Ryan Blaney in third. Fourth, Ty Gibbs. Fifth, Kyle Larson. Sixth, Chase Elliott. Seventh, William Byron. Eighth, Bubba Wallace. Ninth, Brad Keselowski. 10th, Christopher Bell. 11th, Chris Buescher. 12th, Carson Hocevar. 13th, Ryan Preece. 14th, Joey Logano. 15th, Chase Briscoe, finally in. The last driver in currently is Daniel Suarez in 16th. First one out is Austin Cindric, and Shane Van Gisbergen also is out. Guys, taking a look at the points. What do we got here?
Y'all moved around. A few points. I want to make. I'm going to mention the guys that are in. So to start off, I'm concerned with what is going on with Byron. Like, Byron was one of those guys that I thought would be a championship threat. He's kind of sitting here in seventh. I can't really think of a time when Byron was like considered a threat. I know like he had a little something there at Las Vegas for a few laps, but then car didn't come to him. So he hasn't really had too many good runs. He hasn't had a lot of bad runs outside of Bristol where he just stunk the show. He wasn't good there. I just kind of expected more out of this 2014. I felt like this is a point system that really benefits them the most. The 24 team has been really good the past few seasons, especially 2 years ago, where him and Bell would have been duking it out for the championship. But the next, instead of Joey Logano, and the next guy is actually the other guy I want to talk about. Christopher Bell's in 10th place. And again, Bell was one of those guys that I thought was, be really good. I thought he'd be a top 3 driver. I thought he'd be in the top 5 at least. And like Byron has the excuse that, Chevy has the new body. They're not quite used to it. Chevy as a whole is just not really up there quite yet. Bell, I'm going to be honest, dude, your teammates are running good. Your Toyota teammates are running good. You're just not really putting stuff together right now. I get Bristol was an incident that didn't really involve him. That was just an unfortunate set of circumstance, but he really just hasn't been running super good all season so far.
First observation, just real quick. Again, Blaney entering this weekend was like 62 back, and I thought, maybe, Toyota obviously is really dominant at Kansas, but I didn't think Penske was going to be as far off as they were here. Everyone across the board for that entire team just were non-existent, and Tyler Reddick ended up winning, and now he stretched his lead to back over 100 points. So that's my first observation. Yeah, you said it. Byron, he came home in 7th place, but it really didn't feel like that. So it felt like that entire race at Kansas, he was back there and running in 18th place, and then he got like 4 new tires or something like that. So he had a little bit of a tire advantage and got a good restart. Ended up coming home 7th, but you take that into account where he was running all race long. Really got no stage points whatsoever. And obviously, this is coming off a week in which he finished 30th at Bristol. Really rough showing by the 24 team, even though the finish at Kansas ended up being pretty decent. But if he wants to be a championship contender, if that team wants to be a championship contender, then you got to put together more like top 5, top 3 strong runs. And obviously, hopefully, Chevrolet can find their groove a little bit. Chase Briscoe, welcome into the playoffs. Or the Chase, my bad. The Chase, okay, he's finally here. After struggling and clawing his way, he's finally in it. Again, earlier in the year, he was kind of struggling, just getting like bad luck, tire blown, mechanical failures that put him back there in the 30th position, which he was, and then he just happened to, he was going to eventually find his way up here because that 19 group is, again, you showed it last year how, that team just really came on in the second half of the year, especially with all those wins and all those top 5 finishes. And again, different playoff format, different chase formats. Obviously, this is the chase now, but he expected that team to be in it and be at least a top 8 seed. I had them in the top 8, and he's finally here, so that's a good thing to see. RFK doing their thing, obviously here. Trackhouse racing, man, brutal showing. Like, I think they finished 34th, 33rd, and 35th. That's what it felt like. That's what they were running. And, we didn't talk about it. We didn't have it on the outline, but I'll talk about it real quick. Justin Marks admitted that they are rebuilding this team. Again, a few years ago in 2022, obviously Ross Chastain made the Final Four, and that's a credit to obviously Trackhouse putting together obviously a phenomenal year. But that also is you got to remember that everything was brand new back then, and even GM didn't have their whole data setup, data building setup, so they were using stuff out of Trackhouse's building, which is at the time obviously Chip Ganassi, because they bought the team from Chip Ganassi. So that obviously gave them a little bit of a boost. But once GM got away from that, you've kind of started to see them slow down a little bit. Ross Chastain is supposed to be obviously a playoff caliber driver, in my opinion. He's off to the worst start he's had in his entire Trackhouse tenure. You got rookie Connor Zilic. I did not have him in the chase, but I did not have him back in 33rd, barely making up 10 points a race, which is what he's doing right now. He has 92 points through 9 races. That's, again, about 10 points every race. That's disastrous. I expected him to be at least in the top 23 in points, and he's far from that. And obviously Shane Van Gisbergen, as much as we praised him and as much as we think that he can obviously dominate and win the road courses, he's putting himself in a position where he probably has to do that. Because he had 2 bad results, Kansas and Bristol here. Bristol's always been kind of a struggle for him, but especially at Kansas, I expected him to run a little better because coming off of last year, I think he finished 10th in the fall race in 25. So all in all, obviously, got some teams on the rise or have been at the top. 2311, Joe Gibbs Racing, RFK has been the solid and steady team that always gets the solid results. Penske's kind of hit or miss outside of Blaney. So again, it's shaping up to obviously be a very, very incredible battle as we get towards obviously the cutoff, which is the final race of the regular season.
Sitting here 9 races in, we're a quarter of the way through the season. You have 6 guys that could legit win the championship this year. And then everybody else. I'm taking Byron out of it, just based on the way he's racing right now. But you've got the top 6. And I think probably the most dangerous one. I mean, you've got Reddick. He's won 5 races. He's the leader in the clubhouse there with Denny. But that Ty Gibbs sitting there at 4. He is the guy. He's my wild card in this top half. That I really think on his consistency throughout the season could make a play later on. Going down through here, looking at the race this weekend, going into Talladega, I'm anxious to see this. I'll throw 13 in there at Priest all the way down to McDowell. I'm really anxious to see what that group does coming out of this weekend, and can any of them make a move. I think Cindric out of that group there, between Priest, Logano, Briscoe, Suarez, Cindric, McDowell, I'm taking SVG out of it. But I think Cindric is the guy that can make a move here and really gain points this weekend. But as far as the rest of the field goes, I mean, once you get past really Cindric, that top 16, everybody else is just so bad any given week. And it's remarkable.
Yeah, it really is remarkable where, like, how bad. I mean, I guess you could say how bad Trackhouse is. Adding to what you had to say about that, because that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Is it's not just Trackhouse. I think it's all ECR. If you look at ECR engines, that's RCR, Trackhouse. Technically, it's no longer Colleague, but Colleague was a part of that. Rick Ware. I mean, all those teams, some of the worst in the series at this current moment, especially the worst in the Chevrolet camp. Something about it's just not working on the Cup side. Zachary, you mentioned how in 2022 those teams were pretty good. That's when RCR was solid. They had kind of resurgence. 2023 also had a bit of a resurgence. 24 with Kyle Busch. Ever since then, all the teams, everyone else has gotten better. They've kind of stayed the same, if not gotten worse. It's just interesting to see that. But yeah, you mentioned Chase Briscoe finally in the playoffs there. Wow, I did it too. So the Chase, I think he's going to keep inching his way forward there. Joey Logano, man, I mean, he's just hovering around the 12th to 17th range. He's just going to be stuck there, I think, this whole year until Penske and Ford kind of figures it out. See, the thing is with Ford, Penske will have the better finishes here or there. They'll be more flashy, but RFK has been the more consistent Ford team. It's just interesting to see where Ford is as well. They've really, besides Ryan Blaney at a handful of races, that's the only times they've shown winning speed, except for Brad Keselowski at Darlington. They haven't really showed that winning speed anywhere else. I thought they'd show some this weekend, but they didn't. I'm sure they will at Talladega. They always tend to do good, but if you take a look back at Daytona and Atlanta, they didn't do so hot, and Toyota's kind of dominated. Another one here I want to look at, man, back to Trackhouse. I think it's going to be tough. Excuse me. It's going to be tough now for Shane Van Gisbergen, I think, to make the chase. Sitting at 18th, around 20 or so points out of it, 30, almost, 22 points out, if not more. It's going to be tough sledding for him to make it at this point. I think he needs to consistently be top 15 in every race and then having a shot at the wins in the road courses. At that point, he's just not going to make it running the way they are. But again, that kind of goes back to the Trackhouse issues. And then, I mean, that's really it that I wanted to talk about. At this point of the season, you kind of are where you are. This is kind of where people are going to be. We're kind of just waiting to see who gets else on those hot streaks. We have yet to see Hendrick really show up. They kind of just lucked into their one win in a way. Kyle Larson had a shot at it here, but he was not that good of a car. Chase Elliott has shown flashes here or there. And then, Aiden, you mentioned it. William Byron hasn't really shown as much of anything. He's kind of just either been a top 10 guy or he's 15th and you don't even hear about him. They don't even talk about him on Fox. So there's no more between. And we don't talk about Alex Bowman with what he's going on. I'm sorry, Zachary. Tell your brother I'm sorry. But yeah, that's the point so far. So moving on, let's get to the beef. Let's get to the beef here. Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch. Denny Hamlin on his podcast was talking about how RCR is, how they're struggling. And he said, and he was kind of open about it. He said, yeah, Kyle Busch struggled his last couple years there with JGR. He went to RCR. And I had caught flash in the pan there his first year. But after he got those 3 wins, ever since then, it's just been going downhill. He thinks he's not, he's capable, but he's not doing everything he should in the car. Kyle Busch, you could kind of tell based off his reaction to it that he really didn't watch the whole thing that Denny Hamlin had to say. He wasn't giving all blame to Kyle Busch. He was kind of giving it a good, 60-40 split. Kyle Busch took it as he was blaming it all on Kyle. Denny was blaming it all on him. And he kind of just firing back, saying, I can make life, hell for him. And kind of did there at Kansas, held him up there for a couple laps late in the race, allowed Tyler Reddick to get back up there. But, guys, thoughts on the beef between the two former teammates?
Interesting to say the least. Yeah, like you said, it did kind of seem like Kyle Busch just listened to half of it, and that was it. I'm not against what Denny Hamlin said, though. Like, to me, I don't think there was a single thing wrong that Denny said. He kind of just said, what's happening, like what has happened. Like, I don't think Denny Hamlin did anything wrong necessarily, but I understand Kyle Busch being frustrated by that a little bit. I can understand him being frustrated at the call out. He's probably like, yes, I'm thinking it. Everyone else is thinking it. We know this. Why are you calling it out? Like, type deal. So I kind of agree a little bit with both sides. I'm not going to lie on this topic. It's just that I don't know. This is a weird beef because there's not just one side that's objectively right. I respect Denny for saying it. I understand Kyle Busch for being upset. I just wish Kyle probably listened to it a little bit more. But outside of that, I mean, it's a pretty good beef. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't even think he held him up that much. I think he was going so slow that it really didn't even affect Hamlin. So you got to get your cars a little quicker, RCR, in order for that to even matter, I feel like. And even then, you're still going to be running in 24th place, getting lapped. What's happened to Kyle Busch and what's happened to RCR, obviously, I feel like is all parties involved are at fault a little bit. Going back to 2019, that was Kyle Busch's obviously second championship. He wasn't all that impressive really in that second half. Like, he had all the wins in the first half of the year, and then the second half he kind of just rode around a little bit. Was consistent enough, and obviously won the title because he won that last race. And we don't need to talk about that one race finale bullshit that we thankfully don't have to deal with anymore. So after that, 2020, that's when you really started to see obviously a decline a little bit, less practice, which means obviously less information given to you and less of a feel for the car, I feel like. And then he loses his crew chief Adam Stevens. His last year, NJGR wasn't all that great either. In the first year of the next gen car, he won that Bristol dirt race because the leaders spun out, Briscoe and Reddick, and went to RCR, and RCR helped build the prototype for the next gen car with NASCAR, and I feel like that helped him a little bit, at least in the early going. Obviously, you saw that he won the first 3 races of the year. I think he mentioned something about how early on in that season, NASCAR noticed that RCR was doing things. It wasn't illegal, but they were doing things to the car that was able to give them added speed. And then NASCAR told them not to bring that stuff back to the track. And then obviously, I feel like after that, that's when they started to go downhill a lot. And Kyle Busch, is one of those drivers that as you age, you start to get slower with your reaction time and whatnot. There's only so many Denny Hamlins in the world that can continuously be competitive in their 40s. He's really the only guy that really stayed competitive, really. Even Harvick kind of fell off there at the end a little bit in this car. Truex, the same thing. So he's just a product of getting older a little bit, and also RCR just seemingly just struggling to find any speed whatsoever. I don't think Hamlin was wrong in his comments because obviously I feel like he wants to see RCR do well because, again, he's a competitor himself. And I think he hinted at that, but obviously Kyle Busch took it as a shot at him for, not doing enough to make the car go faster. And I think there's only so much you can do. Don't get me wrong. When RCR had good runs going, not this year, but like last year and the year before that, he did kind of throw some of those away with just careless spins. Like, Aiden remembers when he was at the Brickyard, how Kyle Busch was in 5th place and he was on the inside of Hamlin for 4th. He over pushed it and wrecked the car. He just can't do that in this car, and obviously RCR has gotten worse since that point. And you know, again, I don't think Hamlin was at fault for any of his comments. It's just you know, it was just a product of Kyle Busch obviously being like really upset that he thought he was calling him out for it, but I don't think he really was. It's just he just wanted to know what's happened at RCR because there is a problem at RCR because every single week they're getting in spats on the radio. Even this past week at Kansas, they were dealing with tire issues. I talked about how the tires were wearing every 40 laps for drivers. His tires were cording completely after 30 laps, and he kept on having to make like there at the end of those stages. He had to just wheel it around so slowly just to make sure he didn't pop a tire. So there's been obviously deep rooted issues at RCR that ain't just on Kyle Busch, but obviously it just looks bad because again he's the driver and he's gonna take it all on himself because he thinks, and obviously what Hamlin thinks is that it's his fault. When obviously I don't think that was the case. I think Hamlin was just saying it's a whole organization fault with him included.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you guys. Denny didn't say anything out of the way, and I get why Kyle got butt hurt. I mean, you could turn this around and make one hell of a Hallmark movie out of it. You had Kyle Busch had the woman, then he gave her up, didn't realize what he had in JGR. Then he turned around for the shiny new toy. He went to the toy and then realized what he gave up. Then he's still dating the prom queen, and he's going to ride off into the sunset. It's a Hallmark movie for men. But Denny spoke the truth. Kyle ain't producing. He's wondering what's wrong. Is it Kyle? Is it the car? I mean, Denny really probably don't know. He knows what type of driver that Kyle is. But I mean, both sides, like Aiden said, neither one of them's really at fault or fully, speaking the truth about everything. But all in all, I'm kind of for it. Maybe this will bring out a little bit in Kyle after he gets over his whining and crying and butt hurting us. But I mean, if somebody's talking about me about how bad I suck, I'm going to try to step up and shut him up. I mean, instead of crying about it, step up and try to do something. And if you are doing all you can do, then, or being all you can be, there you go. There's a plug. I mean, if it is the car, just, it is what it is. Get out of your contract, try to find something else. What's out there, I don't know. Rick Wire. But, yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. I like it. I do like that Denny's speaking the truth about everything and Kyle's being Kyle.
Yeah, you guys kind of nailed it there. I mean, I don't think Denny's saying anything wrong. I just think Kyle just did not really understand what he's going for. But at the same time, he's kind of standing up for his guys. But at the same time, I mean, Kyle, we all know you're not going to be there next year. Like, why put yourself through it any longer? Go find something else. It sucks about seeing such great drivers like a Kyle Busch, and there's others in the past when it's the tail end of their career. I hate seeing it when they just kind of suck. Like Jimmy Johnson, whenever he makes those couple races here or there, sure, I hated watching him growing up. He won all the time, but I didn't want to see him just bring out cautions every dang race he's in. At this point, this kind of Kyle Busch, I really truly think majority of it is on RCR. It's not just all Kyle Busch. At least I want to believe that. Don't know what's going to happen in the future for the 8 and for Kyle Busch, but hopefully there's some light under the at the end of the tunnel for Kyle Busch. Moving on, let's talk about Stephen A. Yeah, we're bringing up Stephen A. on a NASCAR podcast. Stephen A. called out NASCAR. He says that drivers aren't athletes, is what he said. Guys, thoughts on this one? Do you think drivers are athletes?
My answer to this is yes. My next question is, what does Stephen A. qualify as an athlete? Because that has a lot to do with it, too.
If he thinks he's an athlete, he's definitely wrong.
Yes. It depends on your definition of an athlete, really, to start us off. This is kind of like my whole thing with Jordan and LeBron. You can have an argument for both, it just depends on what your definition of the GOAT is. But LeBron fans are just wrong because it's MJ. Anyways, going back to what I said, like, it really depends on what you qualify as an athlete. Is it someone who's a competitor? Is it someone who's physically gifted at something? Is it some other third thing? To quote the SpongeBob movie, some other third thing. It really depends on the definition. I, for one, do, because I know it takes work to do what these guys do. They train every single day. They almost, when you're at a professional level of sports, you have to let it consume you almost to an insane degree. And these drivers do that. They spend hours getting ready for the races, hours out of the week to get ready. They wake up, train, get on the sim, train some more, and then go to bed, and then wake up and do the same thing the next day. And not everyone can drive these race cars. As much as people would say they could, one, it takes strength, so that's already eliminates half the people. It takes endurance, just based on the fact how much you sweat, how tired you get, how much brain power you're just using, just trying to run this race. And your body does take a beating from running these races. We've seen that. We've seen drivers be exhausted after these races. So I do consider these guys athletes. Now, for Stephen A., I think he's rage baiting. I really do believe that he does not believe this and is just saying this just to say it. I don't think it's really all that serious.
Yeah, his job as, being the face of ESPN is just, again, get clicks, and how you get clicks, you make takes like this. It wasn't just NASCAR drivers, but obviously, since we're all about NASCAR, that's the thing we got to discuss. But obviously, he wasn't just talking about NASCAR drivers. He was also talking about golfers, too. He doesn't think golfers are athletes either. Now, the good old NASCAR drivers aren't athletes because all they do is turn left argument. Oh, yes. Again, I've seen drivers get exhausted. I've seen drivers lose up to 10 pounds, even more than that, driving these cars for 3+ hours. And the quote that he said is like a person could be driving a car in their 60s or 70s. That doesn't make them an athlete. Does he really think that these guys are going like 100 miles per hour every single week? Is that what he thinks they're doing? Because they're going like 180 and upwards of like 195 on certain given tracks. I think NASCAR drivers are obviously tremendously gifted. Not everyone is obviously built to drive one. That's why you see the top cream of the crop elite drivers obviously win a lot of races, and whereas opposed to some other guys that maybe just aren't able to. So they is separated in that, but they all obviously work tremendously hard to get to this spot. They put a lot. Again, Aiden said he put a lot of time and effort into it. At any series, it ain't just the top level of NASCAR. I mean, there's a lot of effort you put into the stock car racing, legends cars, all of it. And, these guys are supposed to be mentally sharp, because they're again, I talked about it with Kyle Busch a little bit. When you age, your reactions get slower. But obviously in your prime years, or when you're younger, obviously, that's when you're at your best, obviously, and that goes for any sport, really. You rarely ever see a LeBron situation where you're going like 25, 6-6 or whatnot every given night at 41. It doesn't happen with every athlete. So these guys train a lot, and I think I saw Lamar Scott, ARCA driver, call out Stephen A. Smith and said he'd want to put him through his workout regime that he does throughout the week to get ready for races. There's a lot of effort that these guys put into it, and that doesn't discredit them, I think, from a guy like this that probably has no idea what he's talking about. I don't think this guy probably has ever watched a NASCAR race. If he did, it was like the 90s, and even then, that's when he was just starting to come up through his sports column journalist era. So I think NASCAR drivers are tremendously gifted, and obviously no discredit to them, because obviously they do put in a lot of work.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. This was clickbait. This is all it was. And he's sitting here saying that NASCAR drivers and golfers ain't athletes. I know that he was at the Masters last week, I believe, or the weekend at Bristol 2 weeks ago. Um, so, I mean, why are you going out and supporting a sport that you don't believe is necessarily an athlete? You are sitting there talking about these issues. Like, he's been well known for years to just cause controversy. He is that guy. Um, he did play basketball in college. That's as far as he made. Due to injury, he never turned professional. So I actually looked it up to see if he had even played sports outside of high school. And this guy, he's a joke, but he's a good heel. He is a good guy to hate. And I think that's the reason why, ESPN, places like that are going to accept him. You almost need that guy to be hated because you're getting a reaction. And I'm a firm believer any reaction is a good reaction in a situation like that. Do I agree with what he said? No. Zachary already said it. Look at the training that these guys go through, and it's unreal. It's not like the 90s. It's not even like the 2000s. You've seen Jimmy Johnson and a couple other guys come up that kind of brought some of that on. I know Jimmy was into bicycling or cycling, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I do not like this guy. We're sitting here having a conversation about a guy that's probably never even been to a NASCAR race to see what it's been through. So, yeah, he's a joke.
Yeah, he's a joke. I was trying to find this quote that Denny Hamlin said, and he hits the nail right on the head here. It was something along the lines like, "I can birdie a hole that Roy McIlroy could par on. I can make a shot that Michael Jordan can make. I could shoot a free throw. I could do this. I could do that." He said something about football in there as well. But he said, "I know dang well nobody could get in my car and run a lap faster than I can." And I think that sums this whole conversation up. I don't think anyone from a different sport that's not in a motorsport could get in one of these cars, set up for them, and run a lap faster than any NASCAR driver. That even means Cody Ware. I don't think anybody could. I really don't. It takes skill, craft, precision, and excellence to do it. And I don't think anyone else can. And I mean, no one mentioned the G's that these drivers get in the corners, the constant, you're just so focused in on the task at hand. Same as in other sports. It is a sport. They are athletes, just a different form of athlete. And again, I'm right there with you guys. I think that's just, Stephen A being Stephen A, stirring up some news, trying to get more views, get more clicks here and there. This was probably on his podcast that some people don't even know that he has. And probably not on, the Stephen A show or whatever. But anyway, let's move on to the topic that I learned from Zachary when I left work. He sent this, and my reaction was, "What? Hell no!" NASCAR is trying to work out a possible EV series for the O'Reilly series or something along those lines. Zachary, if you want to take this one over.
Yeah, so this broke late last week. It was in a Sports Business Journal article with Adam Stern, and it had NASCAR's EVP, John Bros Profs or something like that. His first name's John, whatever. He had multiple quotes in there as saying how they wanted to develop they've been developing these electric vehicles. They've put them on the racetrack. I think they put them on the Chicago street race when they still had it. They were basically, the quote that got everyone buzzing was him hinting at the fact that the O'Reilly series has no brand identity, really no identity to itself. It does, by the way. But he hinted at that, and then he said that they potentially would want to put these electric vehicles, these electric cars into that series. Essentially is what he was trying to say, and then I want to say, before this podcast started, I also learned that the NASCAR kind of walked back a little bit. They just were thinking about putting the prototype bodies on the O'Reilly Series, cars and whatnot, not exactly putting full electric. To be fair, I think all this is just a dumb decision, by the way, because the O'Reilly Series, I think, is the best thing that's going for the NASCAR right now currently. Every single week, it seems like viewership is going up for the series. And obviously, that's a credit to the CW and the racing product it just puts on. Again, I talked about it. I mean, I think even the Craftsman Truck Series has put on better races, I feel like, week to week than the Cup Series does. I feel like the Cup Series is the one that's lacking an identity of sorts. That's why I was not a big fan. Now, I haven't stopped watching, but I wasn't a big fan of making a car that was just kind of even across the board, because I do miss the days where you could tinker with it and make your car go like 10 miles per hour faster than the whole field, and you're stretching your lead out to 12 seconds. That's kind of what happened at Kansas, kind of with Reddick and Hamlin, because they were the two cars that are battling near each other, and Larson was in third, 12 seconds behind. I mean, sure, some fans might find that boring, but that's not the majority. And I feel like NASCAR thought that was the majority, and they decided to put in the next gen car, but that's another topic for another day. The O'Reilly Series, again, doesn't need this, doesn't need an electric series. No one wants to talk about electric series. No fan wants to see electric cars take over any type of top 3 NASCAR series, and I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. It had such a big reaction to it that Dale Jr. even admitted that he doesn't think that that's a good idea, and he actually thought he actually said to the lines of, if they do put electric vehicles in the O'Reilly Series, that is something that Junior Motorsports is not for. He kind of threatened the fact that Junior Motorsports could just leave the series altogether if they actually decided to pursue that entirely. And that's the right decision, because again, no one wants to see electric vehicles. I don't want to see electric vehicles in a top 3 NASCAR series anytime soon, if ever at all.
I don't really want to see it either, to be honest. I think the O'Reilly series fine how it is. I don't think it needs to throw in something completely wild and out of left field for really no reason. You said it doesn't really have its identity. Yes, it does. It definitely. I know what you said. You didn't say that, but I was just referring. Yeah, it does have its identity. I know you weren't saying that. But it does have its own identity. I just think of it as an unnecessary change. Like I don't see their reasoning for it exactly.
I think if they're going to bring the EV into NASCAR, just throw it into its own series. Put it somewheres below truck and maybe above ARCA. I don't know. Maybe that another transition series, make it a 4th series as a whole. But don't mess with O'Reilly's. Don't. You're going to lose people. There's going to be people that step away from the sport. And I could really see that Junior would. I think he's wants the tradition. I'm all for adding the series of EV. Don't change what you already have. You've already screwed up so damn much. Let's not add something else in this pot.
I would love it if we could just have people that run NASCAR, that are actual true NASCAR fans, not just looking for the top dollar or whatever the OEM wants. Just give us what we want, and this is nothing we want. We want nothing to do with EV. Come on, like you got this whole promotion of hell yeah, trying to bring it back to the old school feel, trying to engage with your core audience, bring back the fans that you lost. This is going to do nothing but make you lose fans. Like if Dale Jr. is talking about leaving, imagine the mass exodus of fans if you bring in an EV series to the O'Reilly series. Everyone loves the O'Reilly series. Sure, it's to me it's starting to become, because it's done a lot better. But I saw someone bring this analogy up, I think on DBC this weekend. It's starting to become like NFL on Sunday and college football on Saturday between the two different series. awesome broadcast with CW, not so great with Fox, but I mean, big names in O'Reilly. Everything's doing good. Everyone still talks about how usually O'Reilly's the best race of the weekend with how the next gen has been. Why would you change it? Why would you change it? There's no reason to. Can we just stop that? Just knock it off, NASCAR. Stop. Take a win. A lot of good has happened this season. Let's not add anything. Okay. All right. Let's go on to the award ceremony. Top shelf of the week. I will go with. I mean, everyone knew I was going to go with him. Give me Tyler Reddick. 5 wins in a row. No, not in a row. I wish. 5 wins on the season already.
Sorry, I dozed off into space there. Top shelf. I would say 2311 as a whole because Bubba Wallace ran pretty good the entire day as well. He got a top 5 out of it. Riley Herbst was running good. And even Corey Heim was running good. All 4 teams were running good. This was a Corey Heim race. So I'll give 2311 as a whole top shelf this week.
I'm going to go down to the O'Reilly series. I ain't going to pick Taylor Gray. I'm going to pick Austin Hill Hate Watchers, which is, again, majority, if not all, of NASCAR, okay? It's been great to see him kind of struggle a little bit. I'm not going to lie. Again, as much as we clown on him, he typically does run around like the top 10 on these traditional ovals, but he kind of has been struggling a little bit this year, and his own teammate even was tired of his BS and raced him hard and got him to clown himself even more after he spun out and in his post-wreck interview, obviously. So, again, it is always nice to see Austin Hill kind of cry a little bit more because then we can make fun of him because obviously when he's crying, usually it means that something bad happened to him and he doesn't see as it being his fault, just anyone else's. But Jesse Love, good job. And Austin Hill Hate Watchers, the smile another week.
Yeah, I'm going to top the top shelf off with Toyota. Taylor Gray, he won the Xfinity Series. Rizzo, you said it with Tyler Reddick there. Aiden took 2311. I'll just take them all. Toyota. Toyota had a big weekend.
I've been saying it all year. It's been a great year to be a 2311 fan since the lawsuit. It's been a great. Now I just need Bubba to win a race, or 5. Now on to hangover of the week. I mean, I'll go for another easy one here. Who could you not give it? I mean, you cannot just pass up Cody Ware. It means easy. It's easy. Cody Ware, you're an idiot. I mean, Tommy, what are we doing, Tommy? You're better than that. Call your driver down to pit road. 60 lap tires is ridiculous. Your whole point of being that far back in the pack, 6, 7, 8 laps down, just get to the end of the race. No need to do something like that. You're really not racing anybody at that point.
I'd go with Kyle Busch, actually. Kind of got clowned on Denny Hamlin over the week. And then he goes out, you can prove him wrong right here. You can do it. And he puts up a stinker, finishes 35th, 4 laps down at Kansas. Yeah, I'm going with Kyle Busch.
I talked about it earlier, how this team was rebuilding, but obviously they just was a really rough showing at Kansas, especially this is a track that Ross Chastain like 2 years ago won at. But you got to give it Trackhouse as a whole. Again, Shane Van Gisbergen finished just ahead of Cody Ware in 36th place. He was just that slow. Connor Zilic, again, having the really rough rookie year just based off of speed and obviously some crashes here and there, is 29th. And then Ross Chastain was the best finisher in 26th. And this is coming off of, obviously, SVG won all the road courses, I think, besides like one last year. And, Ross Chastain won the Coca-Cola 600 this year, and then you bring in Connor Zilic, a promising young rookie. You kick out Suarez, and Suarez is in the chase. right now currently. He's outrunning Spire. He's outrunning he's with Spire. He's outrunning Trackhouse as a whole week in, week out. That's just a very bad look on the team. And again, if you're in a rebuild phase, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And right now, it is definitely worse.
My hangover of the week is going to a preview of this week. Us as NASCAR fans got notified and reminded Natalie Decker will be in the field for the Talladega race. She will wreck out, crying bitch, because it was not her fault, and she will cause a damn wreck, and it'll be involving 12 drivers. And she will cry on the interview how it was not her fault and she's not getting a fair shot. And it's just poor, pitiful fucking me.
Some great picks there, guys. Some really good picks. Now let's get to picks and predictions for Talladega. But first, let's go to last week's picks and where we all finished. Bunny?
Yes, so again this week you have Aiden picking up his 4th win of the season, taking the overall lead. Then you was followed up by Zachary with another 2nd place finish. He has only finished 2nd or 3rd in every race this year. Rizzo finishes 3rd in back-to-back weeks, and I once again come up with last place with Gregson. Aiden had Hamlin, Zachary, you had Bubba, and Rizzo, John Hunter, Nemechek. And I sound like friggin' Charles Barkley tonight. But this week, I'm going with the 47. Give me Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
I think we all knew that was going to happen. Someone was going to take him. I'll take the other guy. Give me Austin Cindric.
Yeah, this is Talladega. Man, there is no right pick here, really, unless Penske decides to shut out the entire field by working together and the numbers game. And unfortunately, I don't really want to do that because I think Blaney's too strong everywhere else, really. And well, I don't trust Logano, so I got to go a different direction here. And because of that, I think I'm just gonna toss one out there and just for the heck of it, give me Eric Jones.
Well, I guess I'm the last pick again, and I can't wait to win this week with Noah Gragson.
Good picks, guys. Now, I don't know if you guys have been following along, but Tyler Pinnell, a NASCAR TikToker, pointed out a pretty crazy coincidence. When NASCAR does a promo for the prior race, I think 7 of the 9 races this year, the driver that went on to win the race was on that promo. Last week, Reddick was on that promo, obviously. This week, the 3 drivers on the promo were Chase Briscoe, Ricky Stenhouse, and Austin Cindric. Yeah, sure, the last 3 winners of the race, the week of this race, but hey, if that works out, Bunny, I think we're in a pretty good spot here. Watch Chase Briscoe win the race, and none of us picked him. Anyway, let's get on to predictions. I'll start this one off. They flipped the stages around. The first stage is 98 laps. The second and third stage are both 45 laps. That is a total fuel run. So the first, third of the race is going to be kind of a snoozer, if I had to guess, because they're really not racing for anything up until really those last 20 laps. I'm sure they'll be jockeying around for positions, but the last 80, 90 laps are going to be ridiculous because that's where all the points are going to pay off. So the whole, you got to be there at the end means a whole lot more with the way that this race is going to be formatted with the stages. I'm looking forward to it. I want to see what this, new stage length format does to their overall racing. Like I said, I think the first half of the race is going to be a little bit boring, but besides that, the last half is going to be exciting, and they're just going to be all driving. Well, I say that, but then I remember when they're all driving flat out, are we going to actually see a third lane? We'll have to wait and see for that second and third stage. But guys, thoughts for the predictions of Talladega?
Kind of a crapshoot. Like you said, they switched up the stages a little bit. So we may or may not see that fuel saving strategy that we saw at Daytona. I don't know. It's a toss up. Every time I think of Talladega, I always think of like the really good races. All right, like some of my favorite plate track moments, I guess I want to say. And then I realized something. All the ones I'm thinking about came from the Gen 6. like I think of like the 2019 to like 2021 Gen 6 era at Talladega, which was genuinely a really good Talladega era, I'm not going to lie. But I don't know. The next gen just haven't made a super good Talladega race yet, in my opinion. I mean, don't get me wrong. We've still had some pretty good Dega races on the next gen car, but nothing quite to like those standards yet. I'm kind of lukewarm when it comes to this week. You know, like, I'm lukewarm for a Talladega race. Now, I'm still excited because it's a Talladega race, but like, I'm like, oh, a Talladega race. Whereas for another track, if I was like, oh, a Talladega race, I'd be like, heck yeah, we're going here. Like, it's still really high. I'm trying to hint at that. I don't know. I don't know if this is making any sense. It might not make any sense to anyone but me right now. But yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
They have tried. They're trying to solve that fuel issue, which is like one of the biggest problems that people have had with the next gen car. And even then, I still think you're going to see it obviously a lot throughout the entire race because again, Stenhouse kind of pointed it out how you still are going to try and make up positions on the pit road because it's easier to do that than it is on the track, and it's just you gotta. I'm always for big swings on whatever we can to make something different. So whether it's the package and whatnot, whether it was actually implementing an actual good car eventually, the Gen 8, hopefully, whenever that comes. But you know, um, the worst races I look forward to in the next gen car has been the short tracks and some of the road courses. Um, Talladega and Daytona are just right ahead of that. I hate to say it. It's just because a lot of the times the cars are so draggy, you can't really build a third lane when everyone's going all out. It's all gridlock, and it's just really, really, really hard and really frustrating to watch because again, the drivers don't want to make moves themselves. Like I remember on the last lap on one of these things, Kyle Busch was like in sixth spot, but he didn't want to jump out because he knew no one was going to go with him. And it's just basically a battle between the first two cars that are in each lane, and Cindric ended up winning that one. But you know, again, it is Talladega. It is still unpredictable. There still can be some wild incidents. So that's at least something to look forward to. I don't really want to give an expectation on it. I'm not saying that I'm high. I'm not saying I'm low. I'm kind of like what Aiden was, is like lukewarm, kind of in the middle. We'll just see what happens. Am I hoping that eventually we can get back to that Gen 6 style of era without the big spoiler on the back, okay? But at least like the quick, fast runs that these drivers would have been able to generate in that car. Am I still looking open and hoping that we can, get to that point again? Yes. If it was in a perfect world, we get back to the Gen 4 racing everywhere because I feel like that was the best type of racing. NASCAR's at least tried to focus on the racing everywhere. But we got to play with what we have, and what we have here is next gen fuel saving. Hopefully, something is different this time around.
Yeah, where they flip the stages, I'm going to agree with Rizzo. The first half of this race is going to suck. It's going to be fuel saving, everything that we've seen, because you're not changing the laps, you're just changing when the pit cycle is going to happen. And then you're going to kind of condense everything at the very end, and it's going to be a madhouse. With, what'd you say, 40 some laps to go is what they're going to run in the final stage. So, with that being said, you've got 40 laps to go. They're going to start jockeying for position a lot earlier. And I think we're not going to see much action in the first half. Like, you may have a wreck, somebody spin out, something's going to happen. But that last 40 laps, you're going to be down to 15 cars. Because if you have something happen, you break off a big one, then that's going to take time to clean up. Then you're going to be sitting there at the end, and you're going to have less and less to make things happen. And it's just going to be chaotic. And I hope that it's fairly clean, but it's never clean at Talladega because it's so damn fast.
Yeah, Talladega is gonna be an interesting race. That last stage is gonna be just pandemonium. I really do believe. All right, but time for I think my new favorite segment. Last week, Zachary won. Zachary, take us to your guess the driver section of the show.
Yeah, so Rizzo, I remember the scores. It's Rizzo, Bunny and Aiden that try and guess the driver that I've chosen randomly for this week. Not really random, it's just a driver that I've just picked. And these guys try and guess it. Rizzo up 2-2. He has scored 2 wins technically in this segment. Bunny and Aiden both have 0. And last week Rizzo unfortunately was not on the show with us, and so I stumped Aiden and Bunny when I chose Buddy Baker. I'm really proud of myself for that. But we'll see if anyone can guess this driver this week. So to start it off, of course, as always, this driver was born in Bahama, North Carolina. Typical, North Carolina, the racing roots of NASCAR a little bit. This driver began his career at 14 when he began racing motorcycles. This driver began race. Okay.
Genuine guess. Like, I'm not Ricky Stenhouse Jr. No. Dang it. No. Yeah. I forgot he's from Mississippi. Never mind.
Oh, Mississippi.
Yeah, no. This driver began racing in NASCAR's mini stock division at 17. He'd go on to win 12 times over the next 3 seasons in that series. And continued to run that division for a whole decade, actually. This driver got to the Truck Series at the ripe old age of 28, so he was kind of late getting to NASCAR, at least the top 3 levels. He's made his debut in the trucks at IRP when he already finished 19th. This driver won 5 times in the 2001 truck season with Ultra Motorsports. Really old team. Hasn't been around since 05.
Can I take a guess?
Sure.
Bobby Hamilton.
That is incorrect. This driver won his first Busch Series race at Nashville Superspeedway. This driver ended up winning the Rookie of the Year in the Busch Series as well.
Greg Biffle.
No.
I got one more.
Okay.
Scott Wimmer.
No.
Ah, dang.
This driver's best finish in the Cup Series was 20th place. This driver's first race in the Cup Series was the 04 Daytona 500. And finally, this driver is known for driving the number 10 car, Valvoline.
Fucking bitch. It's Johnny Benson. Nah, you're giving me
No,
that
it's
shit.
Riggs. Riggs.
God damn it.
Riggs.
It's Riggs.
Yeah. Let's go. 3.
I panicked when I heard Valvoline 10 car. I was like, this dude picked Johnny Benson after I guessed Johnny Benson right off the bat last week.
It was not him. Yeah, it was not him.
Benson won a Cup Series race, I'm pretty sure.
And Benson was driving the 10 Valvoline car in like 98. I know, I just kind of panicked and said it.
I thought I sniped it when I said Scott Wimmer because I'm like, oh, dude, Scott Wimmer? That's a random driver.
But I remember Junior talking to somebody was on a podcast talking about being in the motorsports or motorcycles and stuff like that, racing. So I was trying to think back, and 01 during that Biffle, that's where my head went.
Yeah, I thought when Rizzo said Scott, and I thought he was about to get it, and then he said Wimmer, and I was like, nope.
Yeah, that when I said Scott, your eyes lit up. I was like, oh, okay, Wimmer. And then you kind of kept me in that like year range. And then that last guess was easy.
Yeah, I mean, I had a couple more. I mean, I said like this driver's like shares a common first name with other NASCAR drivers, and there has been a lot of drivers named Scott. So
You weren't going to mention his son drives in the Truck Series currently.
nah, I felt like that was going to give it away too easy. I could have maybe if I felt genuine, genuine to do it.
All right, like some.
Was anyone else going to get it?
My
Or was
voice.
it like Barney? I felt like you were close there at the end.
When he said number 10 and then you and Aiden was fighting it out, I was like, one of them's got it, but
Yeah, I figured the number wouldn't give it away because it is a pretty, memorable car.
yeah.
Because he flipped it at Talladega in 05.
Mhm. And it was with was it Evernham? He had the number font, that weird number font, towards the end of his career.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Aiden, I actually thought you were going to get it. You started talking, and I'm like, oh, dang, he's going to get it. And then you hit Benson. I'm like, yes, Scott Riggs. I forgot his first name. I didn't think you were going to give it to me.
Yeah.
I would have let you said it, but he said 10 Valvoline. I was like, this dude picked Johnny Benson the week after I said Johnny Benson.
He'll do that next week when you ain't thinking about it.
That'd be funny. I was waiting for when you you picked a driver, kind of, 2000s range, and you finally did.
Yeah, I wanted to choose a guy that obviously didn't have a whole lot of success, but he had some lower ranks. So, yeah.
Well, guys, that's the show so far. Anyone else need to add anything here, NASCAR news related? Doesn't look like it. All right. Well,
Baba Booey.
What?
Baba Booey.
Baba Booey. Okay. Well, that's gonna do it. Do it for all of us here at Moonshiners Racing, presented by Depot Street Sports. Make sure you tune in tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for the NFL Draft Show. There's gonna be a lot of us talking all things NFL football. It's gonna be fun. You could have the TV on, watch the draft, and then you could have us on your phone or your iPad or your laptop, and you can hear our reactions. Hey, and we will be live, so make sure you tune in to the live chat, ask your questions, send in, responses, reactions. We want to hear from you as well during the show. Thank you all for tuning in for this episode. And remember, for tomorrow's episode, we'll be back next week talking all things Talladega and getting you ready for the